Welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Borik, and today I want to talk about stress. We're going to go through the 4 different types of stress. And really the purpose for today's talk is to give you a little idea of how to identify stress in your life so that you can better protect your body against the effects of it. You know, oftentimes it's impossible to remove stresses, but it's important to identify them so that you can protect your body against the effects of them. The first type of stress is what we call acute stress. And that's the kind of stress that happens and then you get over it. It doesn't last long. We're not real concerned about it affecting the physical body. Let me give you an example. If I were driving and if I got a flat tire, that would stress me out. But once the tire is fixed and I get on my way home, by the next morning, that stress is pretty much gone. It's dissipated. The effects of the stress are not going to tear my body down. Stress affects the blood vessels in the body. It can attack blood vessels in every part of the body. Well, acute stress is not necessarily going to do that. The second type of stress is what we call recurrent stress. This is the kind of stress that happens day in and day out, month in and month out. And what happens is this is where the red flag is when it comes to the health of our body. Recurrent stress absolutely can begin tearing down the body. It's a stressor, regardless of what the stressor is. It could be from work, it could be a financial stressor, it could be a health problem or anxiety about health. Whatever it is, it's recurrent. And whenever it becomes recurrent, that's when we become at risk of having the chemicals and the cortisol level and the stress chemicals in the body begin taking effect to start tearing down the body. We know that we gain weight whenever we're stressed. That recurrent stress, the third type of stress, is when that stress becomes chronic. And it's the chronic stress that is absolutely dangerous to the human body. It's interesting because whenever we are experiencing chronic stress, now I'm talking about month in and month out, even years of stress, oftentimes we get so used to the situation and the stress in our life that we don't even realize that we're stressed. That's when it becomes a problem. For example, maybe normally you would sleep 7 or 8 hours, but now there's a lot going on and you're only sleeping 4 or 5 hours. It becomes your new normal. And what happens in that is that we don't do anything about it. You just accept it as your new normal when in effect it's affecting your physical body. It can tear down the body. It can cause you to gain weight. It can cause you to not be able to think straight. Your memory can become affected. You can be at an increased risk of dementia, even Alzheimer's dementia. So take note in your own life to maybe think about what are the things that you can maybe eliminate that are causing stress, or even more importantly, how can you change your mindset toward them so that you don't feel as stressed in this situation. The fourth type of stress and the final type of stress is what we call traumatic stress. And this is something that we absolutely can do nothing about. This is when, for example, a natural disaster occurs, or the sudden loss of a loved one, or God forbid, a terrorist attack, where you're stressed and your body takes such a hit. Physiologically, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it. So what I'd like to do is really have you focus on what are the things in your life that are causing that recurrent stress that eventually translates into chronic stress, so that you can protect your body against the effects of those stresses. Inevitably, it affects the brain, and when we're stressed, it can translate into anxiety, depression, and many different medical conditions. And so think about it, and think about how you can be more proactive in your life to be less stressed, but even more than that, the effects of this stress, you just won't allow it to affect you. Important things to do: prayer, meditation, taking long walks, spending time in nature. These are all things that are so important. Being aware of God's creation. And what happens is stress chemicals tend to come down and you feel more fulfilled and you have a sense of well-being. And so I pray and I hope that you will take the step to be healthy, not only in your physical body, but emotionally and spiritually as well.